I'm behind the camera right now because I want to make sure that you guys can see me. And if you can't, I want to be able to adjust it. Alright, well, I'm going to be crooked. I really hope you guys can see me when I do that. I hope you guys can see me. Okay, I really hope you guys can see me because this video is actually going to hold something that I'm really passionate about. No, Emily, this isn't your video. I did a rant on Tumblr a while ago about how people fake mental disorders, like a bunch of kids, teenagers, how they fake having mental disorders, whether it's like OCD, bipolar disorder, or depression. Those seem to be the most common ones. For what reasons, I don't know. Or like mania, which is not even a separate disorder. It's part of bipolar disorder, whatever. People fake it, and it really, really pisses me off. So I did a rant about it on Tumblr one day, and someone posted my Ask box and said, I don't think that you should be talking about people who are pretending to be something that they're not because you do the same thing. And then they said that I do the same thing because I'm asexual, which I'm okay. Anyways, so it really pissed me off, so I decided just to rant about it on here because it always gets me really fired up. First of all, let me say one thing. You cannot be diagnosed with a mental disorder, like truly be diagnosed with a mental disorder, and for certain be diagnosed with a mental disorder until you're 18. Because 18 is when they decide your brain is developed enough where they can determine whether or not you have this mental disorder. And unless it is a chemical imbalance in your brain and you went to the doctor and the doctor told you that you have this chemical imbalance in your brain, you can't be diagnosed truly with mental disorder until you are 18. Yeah, sure, you can be suspected of having a mental disorder when you're younger, and you could probably get medication for it, but there are certain medications that they're not allowed to give you unless you're 18, and they can only give you a certain dosage of medication until, I'm pretty sure they can only give you, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that you can only have a certain dosage too, unless you're 18. And educational disorders. You can be diagnosed with an educational disorder, but I'm pretty sure you can be diagnosed with an educational disorder like autism, dyslexia, and ADHD, because I'm pretty sure those are chemicals, like chemical imbalances, but don't quote me on that either. I'm not positive if they're chemical imbalances. I know a lot about psychology, and I'm getting sick of people questioning about my knowledge on psychology, questioning me about my knowledge on psychology, because I know, I can guarantee you that I probably know more than you. Because my mom went to school for psychology. She has a bunch of books on it that I've read. I read a bunch of them, even though there's a bunch and I haven't read them all. I've read a lot of them. And I ask her questions, and she tells me the answers. And if she doesn't know the answers, she can't tell me because she doesn't know the answer. So if I don't know the answer to the question, and she doesn't know the answer to the question, I don't say that, oh, I know this, when I really am not sure if I know that or not. This is a DSM. It is basically the mental disorder Bible. It has every disorder. These are the tabs that have the categories for disorders. It has everything. It mentions everything. Talks about the characteristics. Talks about, it has the criteria in here. It talks about the groups that are more likely to have the disorder than others. It talks about if it's debated whether it's environmental or whether it's chemical imbalance. It has everything in this. I love this book. I have read about every disorder in every tab, but I haven't, but maybe not, I haven't read about some as in depth as I have others, but I have still read them, so I know a good amount of the disorders that are here, that are classified today, even though they're coming out with a new one that I can't wait for. This is the drug Bible. It has every, as you can see, it's very thick. It has every pill that exists on the planet. Everything. And I have not read this, but I am planning on it. I have read some of it, but I'm planning on reading it more in depth. I know some medication that goes with some disorders because of my friends that take it, and because of this book, reading it, and because of asking my mom. So I know some medication that goes with disorders. This is a case book. Case books have stories about people that have disorders, mental disorders, and how, and it has interviews sometimes of the person who went to therapy, and they put the interviews in here, and then they have these I tabbed these myself because I have read this book through, basically. Maybe I haven't read like 4 of the stories, but it has these nifty little boxes which discuss the story after you read it, and it's basically the discussion of why they have this disorder and the different psychologists' opinions on the disorder and why they did what they did and all that kind of good stuff. We have about 6 or 7 of these. These are, because there's different versions, not versions, I can't think of the word, there's different ones, and this basically has control groups, and or not control groups, has studies that psychologists have done on people, and it has the statistics, it has the groups that they did it on, and it has a different psychologist's opinion on the study and all that good juicy stuff in these books, and I have read about maybe 2 or 3 of them, especially the ones concerning prejudice. This I have not read yet, but I'm planning on it. This interests me a lot. I didn't know we had this until I went and looked for books, but I plan on reading this. This is on my next reading. This is on my next book on my reading list. I am just getting sick of people saying they have disorders when they really don't, and getting sick of people questioning me on it because I know a lot. I know more than a lot of teenagers out there. I've taken a psychology class myself. I'm going to take another one next year. My mom's a psychologist. I asked her. I have all these books. It just pisses me off that people fake these disorders, because if they knew about these disorders, they would not fake them. They would not want them unless they are attention seekers. They wouldn't want them, because if they knew about them, they would know that disorders that they fake, like OCD, bipolar, depression, anxiety, all of those things, no one who actually has those disorders wants those disorders. Whether they are a moderate case, whether they are a severe case, it doesn't matter. They don't want the disorder. They don't want, people with those disorders don't want to be dependent on medication. They want to be able to live their life without medication. But they can't, because they can't function in society. Especially people with severe cases, they cannot function in society. Like OCD people and bipolar people and depressive people, they cannot function their day-to-day lives if they don't have medication. And sometimes the medication is just keep in mind, medication is just a crutch. It doesn't take away all the symptoms. So they still have symptoms even though they're taking medication, especially people with severe cases. And even moderate cases. People with moderate cases don't want the disorder. They don't want to be on medication their whole life. And it just pisses me off, because people, like, people who have these disorders are miserable. They don't want to have this thing. And, like, imagine having something in your brain that you cannot fix yourself, that you have to go through years of therapy to ease and, like, learn how to control better, and having to take a bunch of pills every day, and having it affect your relationships, having it affect your friendships, having it affect your work, having it affect your school. Just, it's not a good thing to have, and it makes me so angry when people are like, oh my god, I'm bipolar, and my boyfriend broke up with me last night, and it made me really depressed, so I went and cut my wrist, and the same thing and I'm really depressed too, I'm diagnosed with it, and I'm OCD because, I mean, if my pencils aren't in the right order, the colors, if they're not in the right order, then I go crazy. No, like, yes, those things could happen for people who actually have the disorders, but people who say stuff like that and are young don't have those disorders. Like, you could have those tendencies, but unless it's a chemical imbalance, you do not have this disorder. You, like, to that severe level. Oh, makes me so angry. Okay, I'm just gonna stop. Oh, and if you guys have ever had a any questions on psychology, ask me. I would be glad to educate you and answer your question and to inform you about different disorders and inform you about different types of therapy and all that kind of stuff and the different things people do to try to fix these disorders. I would love to tell you about them. I would love to. I love psychology, so I love to educate people on psychology, but don't question me on it. I will take you down in an instant. I know a lot. Don't question me unless you think you can match my intelligence on the subject. But I'm just gonna stop before I go on for like 20 minutes. So, bye guys.